Welcome back to the ABCs of ERP and Beyond. And you're probably wondering why I'm doing the intro. It's a little different. We are flipping the podcast on its head today. And I am going to be the host of the podcast. And we'll be interviewing my fellow co-host, Peter, on a topic that he's just gone through, which I think is going to be very useful to a lot of people going through this same situation. So the ABCs of ERP and Beyond, if you don't know already, is a podcast dedicated to enterprise resource planning and all the functionality, processes, technology around this unique special business management system. And it's always a pleasure to bring you this content out there in whatever phase of your ERP journey that you're on as a business, whether you're a startup, an established business, or you're a business that's looking to sell or merge. This is a tool that will benefit you in many different ways. So I couldn't do this without my fellow co-host, Peter. So Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. This sounds, feels, and looks very strange. It's normally me saying, welcome back to the ABC. But, flipping the script. What else should we flip?
I know. Yeah, exactly. And, we were thinking about, what do we want to bring to the audience this week? What we don't get to share a lot of times is a real, true end user experience of an ERP project. You and your company recently went through a ERP migration from one ERP to another ERP, in your case, Acumatica, and have just successfully gone live. And you were critical to that project. You basically managed it from beginning to end, talk about data, processes, workflows, cutover, right? Efficiencies. And, you kind of saw this through from an end user perspective. We do this as a business, every single day for our customers. But we thought that it would be a unique situation here where you could bring your experience for how you felt go live went and your go live experiences on your ERP migration to our audience members at the end of the day, right?
Yep.
So with that being said, I say we just jump right into it. I have some questions that I want to ask you about your ERP go live, and don't hold anything back. The good, the bad, or the ugly.
I never do.
All right. I know you don't. I know you don't. I know you don't. Just so I let everybody else know. This is going to be pretty raw and it's going to be real because ultimately you got to know what to expect when you do an ERP implementation along with the cutover and go live. The cutover and go live is probably the most, I would say, important piece outside of just pilot tests. This is really bringing your live data together because now you're going to have some meaningful impact. If you don't do this correctly, you don't have a good go live, you could potentially shut you down, slow down production, have bad inventory numbers. Customers don't know where their products are or their orders are, right? It gets really serious really fast when you go live. It's just not, we're training and we're just not, doing a pilot test or things like that. So everyone kind of has to be prepared to really take on ownership of the system, do their job correctly and responsibly to move and continue with the process flow for your organization. So I am going to start, Peter, with when did you go live? Let's tell the audience members. When did you go live officially in Acumatica?
We went live 1st of July. So we're shooting this now. It's 19th of July. So we've been on Acumatica for 19 days so far. So we were originally going to go live on June 1st instead of July 1st. We had some internal discussions with some senior stakeholders as well, mainly from finance. And they said, look, can you push this slightly just to align to quarter end processes? So being part of, I work for ITW, known as the largest company you've never heard of. But it's a $16 billion global manufacturing company made up of 86 divisions, and I work in one of them. They felt there was maybe some slight risk with the go live in between a quarter. That'd also mean that our first month end in at the new ERP in Acumatica would also be a quarter end. So they said, let's try and eliminate that amount of work. Let's just get the quarter done with by the end of June. And we can go live 1st July. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point right there. It's, you want to find the right financial period to go live, right? A lot of times, it's always just at a month end is kind of preferred, where you do kind of a soft close and you go live. Um, or in your case, quarter end is very important for a publicly traded company to be able to, wrap up those books correctly and accurately. So I'm glad, you guys had that discussion internally. Sometimes, what we've also seen is a mid-month, right? Go live, maybe more for the smaller company. But thank you for that insight, and when you went live and being able to push that data out
Yeah.
for your quarter end to align correctly. What system do you come off of, and why? Uh,
Yeah. So the system we came off of was an on-premises NAV 2009, or affectionately known as NAV Classic, or NAV Archaic. But it was on-prem. There's so much we can talk about on-prem versus on the cloud. In fact, we've done episodes, haven't we,
we've
on
done
this? But
episodes, yeah.
on-prem server held together with duct tape and prayers. Sometimes when it fell over, you'd have to reboot and hope that it booted back up fine. Running out of space on the disk, all of those
Mm,
kind of things. It was getting bogged down. A lot of our business has been through quite a lot of change over the last, it's now 2009. So like the last 15, 16 years, we've done a lot of simplification processes in the business.
yeah,
So it didn't really match today's business. So it wasn't really supporting end users. It wasn't supporting our end customers very well. Plus, it's 15 years old, right? So it's probably not going to be supporting the business anymore. Going to get clogged up with, since discontinued product lines, discontinued customers. There was a whole bunch of stuff in there that was obviously clogging up the system we didn't need. But also for new people, as you onboard them and they look for a customer out of 15 years worth of customers, half that don't actually have an active account with you anymore. It's difficult to onboard people into a really old
yeah.
system. So we came off Nav, a love-hate relationship with it. But I say the one good thing with an on-prem Nav is quick, right? It's local
Mm-hmm.
network. With a cloud ERP, as long as you've got good, stable internet, you shouldn't really
Mm-hmm.
find any kind of lag. But if you've worked with an on-prem ERP for a while, you know that read-write speed to hard drive is one thing, but the actual latency is super quick because it's
Yeah.
on-prem, it's on your local network.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so that was the only kind of thing that maybe I missed slightly. But there's far too many good things that that was
Yeah.
something that's fine to not have to
Yeah.
worry about anymore.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think that's usually a decision, right? When you're on-prem and you have such an old, kind of, let's say old, but your system you've outgrown. Your process become more mature. Your equipment that you have is a little bit more mature, right? More advanced
Yep.
technology.
Yep.
And some of the customizations you've done, the system no longer apply because your
Yep.
employee pool maybe is a little bit more smarter and more intelligent, understands systems better.
Yep.
So all those decision factors go into kind of upgrading
Yep.
your system
Yep.
to a modern, more system like Acumatica.
I think also with coming off the old ERP, we noticed this during the kind of discovery week. So I should say before discovery week, before we actually had our ERP partner on site, we held our own kind of internal discovery week. So we had, so when I say we, it was me. I was acting as project manager. My boss was the program manager, and together we set up meetings with every single department and said, look, this is your private time. It's a safe space. What you say in this room does not leave this room.
Yeah.
Air out all of your frustrations, whether that's
Right.
frustrations with the current nav, or if it's frustrations with other departments, because other departments might have to be doing something because the ERP doesn't support them to the detriment of another department. So
Right.
we held these kind of internal meetings and said, just air it out. Let's hear all of your problems, nag, moan, bitch about the ERP, bitch about other departments, whatever. We want to make sure that we capture everything
Yeah.
in terms of your pain points.
Yeah.
So we held that, and then we started together. We started to put together some commonalities that we're seeing across the different departments. A lot of that was lack of visibility,
Mm.
lack of data visibility, having to chase this person, having to email production for this because they couldn't see, they didn't have the visibility of production orders
Yeah.
and stuff. So before our discovery week with our partners on site, we then had like mini projects, mini
Hmm.
simplification projects. We didn't assess like a whole process flow because it's going to be a waste of time, probably not needed. A bunch of stuff that you can't change because of regulations or
Right.
or it might already be value add and fine. There's no point in talking through those. So instead
Sure.
of doing a whole, let's assess our entire order to cash business process flow, we said let's just hone in on a specific pain point. One
Hmm.
of those was the month end process.
Yep.
Another one would have been the booking in process in warehouse,
Hmm.
lack of visibility of inbound orders, lack of visibility of what's happening in the production facility, etc., etc. So we held them. So we were pretty clean. We knew what our pain points were. We already knew our processes inside out, whether they were good or bad.
Right.
Um, is by the by. But by the time our ERP partner came on site for the official kickoff and discovery week, we already could convey to them pretty well what we did or didn't like with
Mm.
Nav.
Hmm.
Um, and I should say one of the things that we learned during that was that um, and this was one of the things that I'd say about coming off of Navision. One of the things I learned was a lot of people saying, "Oh, I wish Nav did this. And I have to do this in Excel because Nav doesn't do this."
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, "It does. It
Hmm.
definitely does do that. You just never learn how to do it." And
Right.
I wouldn't put blame on the end user. I just think this is a typical thing of being on a 15-year-old ERP.
I think so.
Someone's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't do it as well as it does 90% of it, but that 10% means I'd prefer to do it in Excel.
Right.
And then when someone gets onboarded, they just get that 10% as if that 10% is the 100%. And now you've completely ditched the ERP. So I think one of the best things come out of this is having that reset switch, being like, right, we are absolutely going to use the single system as a single system. Do
Hmm.
not, because it's a slippery slope and it's a death by a thousand cuts. Do not start going, I'll just do this one thing in Excel.
Exactly. Right.
Like, force
Right.
yourself to use the ERP.
Yeah.
You're going to be using the ERP a hell of a lot more. I guarantee you
Exactly.
that.
For sure.
But that doesn't mean you're doing more work. You're just doing
Hmm.
more of your work in the ERP, because it's easy to forget about how much time you spent emailing that Excel file to someone to fill in, for them to fill in and send back to you, or
Right.
that wasted time you running downstairs to the warehouse to check whether a shipment's gone or not.
Yeah.
So yes, you're going to have more interactivity with your ERP, with your new one.
Hmm.
But think about all of this stuff you're no longer doing because you've now got visibility.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And part of that, I think, is also, yeah, Nav did it, right? But maybe did it in like 5 or 6 clicks
Yeah.
versus Acumatica doing it in one click or one screen. That's how users start losing, I wouldn't say confidence, but like they just don't want to do it. Like they don't have that much time in the day, right? To do like 17 different clicks. Now they got this new shiny system that's modern and in a sense has learned from its experience as well on how to make these processes a little bit more efficient.
I think the more clicks you have, the more you go on autopilot. They fly through the
Yeah,
screens.
right,
So that one time that there's something wrong and you've flown through, you have to undo all the way back until that point.
right,
It's a bit the same like pop-up boxes.
exactly.
Like, pop-up boxes can be great, but if it happens every single time, you just disregard it, and then
Yeah,
there's
just
no point
disregard
in
it.
it.
You don't even read it anymore.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so that's great insight, and that's important to understand our customers and users, understanding their pain points, and from there, taking those pain points and really creating a really good system. Now let's kind of move all the way forward to cutover weekend, right? How did that go from your experience, right? Usually cutover weekend, you're preparing in advance, you're looking at your open AR, open
Yep.
AP, on-hand inventory, your work in process. So when you get to cutover weekend, you have a good idea. A lot of that data is cleaned up, right? Number one. And number two, you've identified any error messages or whatever. So you
Yep.
just run the reports at your cutover and you get them imported Saturday and you're basically live on Sunday, right? To
Yep.
prepare for a Monday go live. Well, how did that experience go for you?
Yeah, I say you can make the cutover weekend. It's a lot of work, but you can make it relatively smooth with all of the hard work beforehand. Like it's hard all the way through,
Right.
certainly for like the project manager or whoever's
Exactly.
really responsible for the data migration or data validation. So
Hmm.
we had like a Gantt chart of what we expected, and throughout all of it, we had this whole kind of data migration and cleanup. So I think a lot of that work before that kind of cutover weekend, paid dividends. We also had already done 2 mock cutovers where we did a complete transactional wipe of
Good.
Acumatica and
Hmm.
did a re-import of trial balances, of open AP, open AR, open sales orders, open PO lines, the lot.
Hmm.
We did that twice. Yes, first time, bunch of
Hmm.
errors. But having done that, that weekend felt like just another
Cutover.
cutover
Mock cutover.
exercise. Yeah,
Hmm.
apart from it being at the weekend.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
guess my answer in terms of the actual cutover is two-part. Is one the people side, and two the technical and the project side. I'll start with the technical project. For us, we had our partners. We shut the business early. We shut it at the end of Wednesday.
Okay.
Our partners were going to arrive Friday lunchtime. So that
Hmm.
gave finance all of Thursday to do month and quarter end, or at least get inventory done.
Let me ask a question right there. When you shut your systems down on Wednesday,
Hmm.
your plant was still working Thursday and
Yep.
Friday.
Yep.
So
Yep.
how'd you manage that data and where are they putting that
Yeah.
into versus, with
Yeah.
Acumatica is not really live until Monday. So what
Yeah.
happened that Thursday and Friday?
This is an interesting one. It's always the same for us. It's our factory's 24/7. Um, so shutting Wednesday, we'd already got the approval from finance, from corporate as well, that we were going to have a little bit of a funny timing on like labor capitalization, when we recognize the change of WIP,
Hmm.
in terms of which
Hmm.
period. So we
Yeah.
said, look, this will the pain of that slight misalignment is going to be outweighed by the successful go live. The last we need is to have a failed go live. So we said to them, we got approval. We said what our plan was. We're going to shut the shop early. Obviously, inform our customers. Also warn our customers, right? Saying, look, our
Yeah.
documents are going to change. It's not a scam. And we gave them an example saying this is what our invoices will look like from Monday.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we did that. But in terms of the plant running, we just had to essentially just park that stock. So we deleted all future work orders we hadn't yet started in Nav.
Okay.
We
Makes
gave our
sense.
factory enough work to get them through to Monday.
Hmm.
We closed the books and inventory. And then essentially everything that was made on, so Wednesday night onwards, all the way through to actually Tuesday morning, because Tuesday was the July 1st.
Hmm.
All of that got recognized in the subsequent month in P7.
Okay.
So we kind of
Gotcha.
had like 5 days worth of output. They were pretty lean. Not all of the production lines were running. So then we just did manual receipts. So we receipted in finished goods, and then we issued raw material. So we kind of were doing a manual backflush. Um,
Yeah.
so it wasn't too impactful on the finances, but it was
Okay.
approved anyway. So
Okay. Good. And they just did a little catch up in Acumatica that Monday of some of that data, right?
yeah,
Um,
and one of the things we maybe this will come on later on, but we had really good champions that came out of the project. We had like work stream owners, someone that's in charge of the warehouse, someone that's in charge of production, and those work stream owners. We had two in particular that were amazing, just took to it
yeah.
really well, really
Yeah.
invested, huge champions for the project anyway. And that really helped when we had to get through some of the stuff, um, especially on production, because we had a load of work orders that we deleted from Nav.
Yep.
And he, at the start of the project, was a bit like, well, I know what I'm doing. I know my work orders. I know that we need to make this stuff. But by the end of this project, and we were saying, right, genuinely, we need to now make a decision on how you want to do these work orders. Do we just delete the ones you haven't yet started and
Right.
re-raise in Acumatica?
Yeah.
Or do we use Acumatica's inventory planning engine and have that tell us what we should make?
Right.
And he said, yeah, I want the system to tell me what I should be making, because I'm
Okay.
sure
Good.
we've got work orders surplus that's going to put a load of capacity, or take a load of capacity out of the factory, and we don't even have to run it. So
Nice.
we had a bit of a reset. So when we hit that inventory planning engine, and like only 10 work orders needs to be raised
Yeah.
versus the 50 that we had in the
Nice.
backlog.
Hmm.
We haven't had any stockouts or any customer letdowns. It's like, what the hell were those other 40 work orders we were going to run? Like, we just found capacity. So that's from the operational point of view. So the actual weekend, Thursday, books were closed and finalized. Friday came. We just started with the wipe. First of all,
Hmm.
told everyone to get
Hmm.
out. We got as much work done as possible. They did say, "Look, what do you want to do? Do you want to have an easy Friday?" And then we just hit the ground running on Saturday morning. I said, "No, I don't want to waste any time, because I don't want to get to a point where there's a major thing we've forgotten about,
Exactly.
and now we're like, oh crap, we shouldn't have wasted Friday."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so we just worked as hard as we could on that Friday, finished at about 9 p.m. By
Okay.
then, we'd already got all of the inventory in, all of our trial balance in, open AP and open AR were in. So
Good.
Saturday morning, we were straight onto open sales lines and open PO lines. We
Nice.
knew that was going to be a bunch of work. A lot of our stuff is make to order, uh, and there's no easy way in Nav to link POs to SOs.
Okay.
Um, but anyway, things are going to change, right? You're only bringing in open sales lines and open
Yeah.
PO lines, so the line numbers are going to change. So it was always
Right.
going to be a manual task to link PO lines to SO lines.
Yep.
We knew that was going to take us probably 5 or 6 hours.
Hmm.
Uh, but given that Saturday morning we only had that bit to do, I mean, our ERP partners were obviously doing some stuff in the back end and
Yep.
permissions and stuff like
Yep.
that. But us as a company, we know our data better than them. So it was
Exactly.
down to us to kind of link it together. So what happened on that weekend? It got to about 3 p.m. and we all kind of stood around in a circle and said, right, guys, what do we do? Do we just keep gunning at this for as long as it takes Saturday and just have Sunday off? Or
Mm.
do we just like pause, give it another couple of hours, finish at 5 and finish it off tomorrow morning?
Hmm.
Um, and the team, I think, when they felt that progression, they're already moaning about, oh, how late are we going to stay and all of this. But by that point, Saturday afternoon, they were like, no, let's just keep going. Let's just keep
Let's keep
going,
going.
which
Yeah.
is great. So we actually had Sunday off.
Nice.
So that
Nice.
cutover
Love to hear that.
was a breeze, really.
Yeah.
Um, this is a bit of a long answer, but from the
No.
people side, the other thing that we did is, I can't really take any credit for this. I had one good idea, but Emily did an awesome job at putting together a survival kit. So there was a little
Mm.
box in there, and it had like kind of snacks to keep you going, and then energy bar to keep you going during the day. Um, we'd also got a small cocktail, like pre-mixed cocktail, with a sticker on it. Put a sticker that said, what was it, like, in case of trouble or something, or in case of failure, open me. And then also a little bottle of mini bottle of champagne, and that one said, "In case of success, open me." So it was quite good to have a bit of a fun. We also did a
It's nice.
bingo. We had a bingo card. Everyone had a random design, and it was things like, someone moans about the aircon. Um, we find something that we've forgotten about. Um, Data migration complete, easy ones like that. One of them was, someone takes the someone takes the mick out of someone else's country. It's just quite funny. Um, Pete proclaims himself as the data king. Just quite funny. So yeah, it was just a bit of fun. We also did a bit of swag, so everyone got like a gym bag style
That's
bag,
cool.
hoodie, and we
Yeah.
had like a sports top with the Acumatica logo, our ERP partners logo, and our logo on it. So everyone
Oh my
felt like a
God.
team. So we made everyone
Yeah.
wear that on Saturday. So
Nice.
just trying to keep it
Nice.
lighthearted, bit of fun.
It sounds like there's a new Netflix show coming called Data King, starring Peter Nicholson. But that was so great. I think the golden nuggets there and how you involved the team and played some games, had some swag. Everyone felt that they're in this together. Everyone not just in their own silos and their own departments that they have to maintain and cut over. I think that's huge. And that really shows uh, how successful your cutover went, right? And
Yep.
it was pre-planned, and there was a lot of positive reinforcement. It wasn't just
Yeah.
this happening off to the side and everybody else forget about it. There's two people doing it, and then just come back on Monday. Everyone was involved. Everyone took responsibility, but it felt like a team building
Yep.
experience,
Yeah, it's
which is
definitely
really
a team
cool.
building, definitely team building experience. Like you saw the human behind the person that you normally just see
Right?
Monday to Friday. There's
Yeah.
something different in the air when you see, you know, a, a a colleague at the weekend in their own clothes. You turn up in your pajama bottoms and trainers.
Yeah.
There's something different in the air. You realise that this is just like me.
Exactly.
Rather than Monday to Friday, we're in our kind of work gear.
Hmm.
So it definitely brought the team together, and I hope that extends, um, you know, far out into the future, not just over that weekend.
Yeah, no, well, you laid down the foundation, right? That the system is for every one of us at the end of the day. And they'll take personal ownership of it because they physically were involved in that deployment, right? Which is huge. Um, Moving on here. So this is kind of there's two questions we could probably put into one here. One is, what did you expect when you went live? Your partner came in and said, "All right, we balanced the subledger, we balanced the financials. The trial balances look good, valuation looks good, right? The system is ready to go." What did you expect from go live inf- when that approval was done? And also, second part of it is, were there any signs of concerns from any users or departments from the go live week, or going into go live week once cutover was approved?
My expectations from Go Live. I don't know whether I hide behind this, but I often say I'm pretty pessimistic, or at least pretty realistic, right? I'm neither a glass half empty or half full. So, um, I was pretty logical. I didn't expect any like massive issues simply because I've been on that journey all the way from the start. I knew how hard the teams worked. Like, seriously, what the hell can actually go wrong? My only concern was on the finances because
Yeah,
I wasn't completely on top of that. I trusted finance to do finance, but it was only because I hadn't heard a lot from that team. And when I asked, how's your trial balances? Are they working fine? Yep. That was it. I'm like,
does it?
for me, it's like I need more than a yes. My concern, or we did. Some people kind of didn't put in as much effort as they needed to, end users during training. So all of the work stream owners then were to train their end users. So we did a train the trainer. So our ERP partner trained the trainers, and it was down to
Yep.
them to train their teams,
Yep.
which worked really well. A couple of work stream owners weren't great. Well, it's difficult, right? We had two that were like massive champions. So in context, it made everyone else look bad. Um, but yeah, a couple of bits. I think, well, maybe this come up later on, but um, lessons learned on this was just the importance of training and practicing.
Hmm.
All the time you are not live, and that system can just have a big old reset switch. You need to be playing around in it. ruin it,
Yep.
break it, try and find out
Yep.
where it goes wrong, do
Hmm.
crazy things, hit customer credit limits, try everything out because you can always hit that reset switch. When you're live and it's your live system, like your sandbox environment becomes your production environment.
Right.
You cannot screw around in there. You cannot
Hmm.
just test stuff out and do stuff wrong. So like capitalize on that. And every time we did a mock cutover, I said to people, look, we've done a mock cutover. Acumatica is a direct replication of Nav right now. So before you start doing crazy things on it, try and get into the mindset of we're actually live in Acumatica. So before you do
Yeah.
these fictional orders of this like $10 million order, it would never happen. Like, don't just do a realistic order. Take an order you processed last week and see if you can
Yeah.
process in Acumatica now. It's got realistic stock levels. We haven't done anything crazy. So that first few days after the mock cutover is crucial to practice and train and train. So
It is.
my concern was a couple of departments had just simply hadn't done enough of that training,
Hmm.
and I had to kind of step in and get stuff done, and that
Yeah.
that also impacted other departments, right? If
Sure.
sales aren't practicing putting sales orders on, warehouse now can't practice shipments.
Hmm.
If purchasing aren't practicing putting purchase orders on, warehouse can't practice receipt, and putaways and stuff like that. So it impacts everyone. We know
It
single
does.
single system. Everyone is kind of
Totally.
influencing everyone else's. So
Totally.
that was my concern. End users
Hmm.
simply not doing enough. Although I would say there's never such a thing as enough for this. It's
Right.
just get as much done as you can. Be in the system
Absolutely.
as much as you can
Yeah.
beforehand. And if you
Yeah.
think you've done enough, you probably haven't.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Were you slower? Did you process the same number of orders and shipments day one, day two? When did it start kind of feeling like your volume is back up to normal, right? Because there's an expectation when you go live, and you kind of you pointed that out a little bit, that there was concern that people weren't fully ready during go live, right? So you had to
Yep.
step in. But like, when did you get back to 100% kind of shipping rates that you were doing before versus where you started off at? Can you kind of go through that?
Um,
What's the expectation?
I don't think we influenced that. I think our customers influenced that because we prepped them and we said, look, we're closing our books early. There will be no shipments after Wednesday, and we won't be starting back up with shipments until Tuesday.
Mm.
A lot of the customers got their orders in early,
Hmm.
which meant then that first week of go live, they didn't need to. They kind of bought a little bit extra.
Hmm.
So we
Hmm.
were naturally quieter because of that, because of prepping
Good.
our customers beforehand. Um, Having said that, our business is pretty like, every ITW business uses 80/20, the Pareto principle of how we operate. So we like fewer but larger customers. We
Yeah.
also like fewer but larger orders.
Hmm.
So we only process like at most 10 orders a day.
Mm.
So we're not doing hundreds of orders.
Right.
So it was pretty quiet. I would
Hmm.
say that our go live day, that Tuesday and that Wednesday, um, I stood there in the office next to Emily, and I had a quiet word in her ear. I said to her, "This is quite like not disappointing in a way. This is quite anticlimactic because I was like, all that work, the last 6 months, I've lived it, breathed it, slept it, ate it. It's been my life since January,
Yeah.
and
It's
what's
quiet. It's quiet.
like, okay,
No one's running around. Papers
no,
are not on
it's
fire.
no,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just like any other day. We could have still
Yeah.
been on Nav. It's
Right.
just there's a
Yeah.
little bit of chatter in the office. People are putting
Yeah.
orders on. Like, where's the chaos?
There's a lot of great nuggets there that you mentioned on, and hopefully our listeners here are going to pick that up and institute that in their go lives. Kind of moving on here. What type of contingency plans did you have in place? Like, let's say you got there Monday morning and Acumatica was down. It wasn't even your fault. Like,
Mm,
Acumatica was just completely down, right? What's the
yep.
backup plan, right? Or let's say somebody that's key in a specific department is not able to come to work for a week, one reason or another, right? Or, something happens, a disaster, no one's able to come into work, right? What was
Yep.
did you guys think that through? What plans do you have in place, if any?
Yeah, I mean, we did. We had, you should always have a backup plan of what, it depends on the disaster itself. So, complete disaster. So, if we walk in and Acumatica is actually down itself,
Hmm.
or we've missed something so fundamental,
Right,
well, at that point, it was an impossibility that was going to
right.
happen. It was going to be something that
Sure,
we missed. That's
sure.
such a critical item that would be a disaster. But our backup plan is we just open Nav and carry on in Nav.
Gotcha.
It's on-prem. We still need to get the data out the server before we completely decommission that server anyway.
Hmm.
Um, so we just load up Nav. If someone major was like off, I wouldn't think that should hinder go live. So if like the plant manager was just sick for a week, we could cover it.
Hmm.
They did a great job at training their shift leaders. At least for the UK. So this was the UK site of my division that did this. It's
Yeah,
where I came up through the ranks in sales. So I knew the business. I know the business very, very well. So I could cover pretty much any
department.
work stream owner. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if needed. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's good. I think what I'm getting out of that, right, is have a very strong project manager that's involved with everything, right? That knows Acumatica and then knows your business. So it reduces any risks when you go live because that person could you could plug that person in different places to ensure success at the end of the day. So that I think that's a really important point. So I guess my last question, right? We could talk about go live and go live preparedness and everything that's happens during go live is if you had to go back and do the go live over again, okay? What would you do differently? I
what,
guess.
just to go live?
Yeah, the cut over, the go live, right? Maybe even the implementation. To give your thoughts on that, right? What would you do a little differently, where it would have reduced maybe additional time from the project, right? It would have got people more involved early on in the project, right? It would have helped you solve a few more problems potentially or issues in the project because we know we're not solving every single problem for a phase one deployment, right? These things kind of come over time when you're on a nice system like Acumatica. But what would you do differently?
I wouldn't change a whole bunch. There were so few. I should touch wood because the next ERP migration for us is coming up soon. There wasn't a whole load of issues to have to retrospectively change. Um, One that I would say is probably doing some prep in the education for end users about what data is what type of data. So what do we mean by when we say master data? What do we mean by transactional data? What is the importance of keeping master data accurate and up to date? Both
Yep.
what you can do beforehand to make it
Hmm.
easier for that team during the project, but also how to maintain it during, because the timing, we say master data never changes. It does.
Yeah.
It just changes slowly.
Yeah.
And when it changes slowly, it's really, really important to make sure that you keep on top of that. So I think there's always going to be a period of time where you're having to manage master data in two places. A customer might say, can you now ship to this location instead? Or you might buy the services from a vendor you've never used before, and you need to set up a new vendor for that purchase. So there's always going to be either additions or changes to master data. So we had issues with people not telling us that they've added a new ship to location to a customer,
Hmm.
or they've reactivated an old part number. Um, because when you go to cutover and you try and import an open sales order, it's going to fail. It's going to
Yeah.
fail if that sales order is for a customer ship to location that Acumatica doesn't know about. And it
Right.
doesn't know about it because you didn't manage the two systems at the same time. It's annoying, but there will be a point where you are managing two ERP systems at the same time in terms of
Yep.
master data management.
Hmm. Hmm.
We struggle with that. People were like, oh, I don't know what you mean. And when we said, oh, we're going to do a transactional data wipe, they kind of moaned, oh, I've sorted out all those customer contacts. I'm like, no, we're not changing. That's
Yeah,
master data, all right?
exactly.
Some of it's hard, isn't it? Really, it's trying to
Yeah,
explain technical concepts to non-technical people.
yeah, yeah.
So I think we probably would have done a little bit more focus on that. I think we did a great job of team building. We went out for
Yeah,
dinners. We got swag.
it's great. I love that.
Maybe a monthly check-in with end users. Can you kind of go quiet for a long period
You do,
between
yeah.
discovery week? You're bringing them into and like right, sitting down in front of this ERP vendor and tell them everything about an order to cash that you do, and then you go quiet for ages because you're going through data migration, which will probably be on the workstream owner rather than the end users. Your vendor might go more quiet. For your end users, your vendor goes very quiet because they're doing the development, they're doing through the configuration sessions, etc., etc. I think there's a big gap from an end user's point of view. They've had all this, it's an important project. Tell us your pain points. Tell us about your business processes during Discovery Week. Then it goes quiet for months. And then it's suddenly like, do your testing, do your training, So maybe just a short hour, not necessarily the project manager doing this, but maybe the workstream owner just saying, look, guys, make sure you're always checking in with your end users. Go, right, look, I know we're quiet, but this is what's happening. Yeah. So they know that there's progression and they know at some point it is going to be real life operations in the new ERP. So maybe we could have found a bit of time to do that. And I think maybe the importance of all of that work says when it's now like, right, you need to now do training. You need to do dummy orders in the system. Maybe then there might be a bit of an easier way of getting them to actually do it.
This has been phenomenal. This one is, from your perspective, being an end user, going through this is very unique in itself, and sharing your experiences and things that you've done. I think there's a lot of great nuggets, golden nuggets that you've shared here that I think could be useful to a lot of implementations. Us being on the partner side and the VAR side, it's useful to hear this as well. We're always busy, head down in the implementation, and don't sometimes get this feedback. But this has been a great episode. This has been super, super cool and useful. And that perspective has been eye-opening for sure. And I hope it is for other folks going through this process as well. It doesn't have to be a daunting experience. If done correctly with the right buy-in, the right approaches, right planning, it could be an easy project. It could be a project that naturally flows on top of everything else that everyone is doing at the end of the day. So I don't have any other questions, Peter. This has been a super, super great, informative episode. And anyone out there that has additional questions or wants to learn more about Go Live and what the expectation is, Peter, where could they find you?
The usual LinkedIn. You'll find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Peter Nicholson. You'll find me. I do have a blog that's gathering dust at the moment, but you can find me on there, petenicholson.co.uk. I blog about ERP stuff, this podcast, and just generally nerd out about data. Yeah, find me on LinkedIn or petenicholson.co.uk.
Amazing. Awesome. Peter, thanks so much for that insight today. And my name is Nirav Shah, president of S03E ERP. Together, P and I love talking about ERP and all the technology and processes and around this great business management system. Happy to take suggestions on future topics. You want us to expand on any other episode that we've done, happy to do that as well. If you haven't already and you like this content, smash that like button or subscribe to our content, because we do this obviously to share our experiences out there, and we'll hopefully could help somebody going through the same for your business. So
cool. This still feels weird. This still feels weird when you're doing the intro and the outro. Like normally it's me. See you next time. But you did good. Yeah. I think next time though we're going to go back to normal.
Okay. I think we're going to have to. We're going to have to. I feel more comfortable sharing a screen anyway. So.
Very good.
Awesome.
All right. I'll catch you on the next episode.
Got it.